Madam President, I just want to thank Senator Wyden for his cooperation working on this nominee. Mr. Sams, I do agree, he is qualified, and we had a long discussion this afternoon about some of the big issues that are impacting my state as it relates to the National Park Service. You know, a lot of people love the National Park Service. 2/3 of all National Park Service land in America is in Alaska. Tens of millions of acres, bigger than almost every other state represented here on the Senate floor. That's just the National Park Service, Madam President. And for decades, that federal authority, National Park Service authority in Alaska, has been abused. How do we know that's been abused? Well, we recently had two United States Supreme Court decisions that were 9-0 decisions, by the way, that essentially said the Park Service was not following the law in Alaska. Two. So my discussions, Madam President, with Mr. Sams and the commitments he made to me, I think are going to help Alaska. I think they're going to help the National Park Service, and it's related to the National Park Service authorities. After these two decisions, they were called the Sturgeon decisions. 2 in a row, U.S. Supreme Court, 9-0, by the way. The U.S. Supreme Court telling the National Park Service, you're not following the Alaska National Interest Lands Conservation Act, what we call a NILCA in Alaska. You're not following it, federal government. You need to follow it. So the commitment I got from Mr. Sams was there was a recent regulation from the federal government in November of 2020 providing specifics of how the National Park Service was going to implement these two U.S. Supreme Court cases, the Sturgeon case. And he committed to me to be true to these regulations and to faithfully execute these regulations in the National Park Service on implementing Sturgeon. That's a very big deal in Alaska. And he also committed to have all of his senior Alaska staff and senior staff here in Washington, D.C. take ANILCA training. This is a giant statute. The federal government often screws it up, and it has a negative impact on my state. So he committed to me that he will have his top leadership at the National Park Service take training to understand this complicated law. That will also help my constituents and the country very much. So I want to again thank Senator Wyden for working with me on these issues. These are important commitments that Mr. Sams has made, and I have no further objection to this nominee's confirmation.